I said, Mark, we're going to go camping. We're going to go do realtors in the RVs. And he said, yes. So today's episode, we got the legend, Mark Lumis, coming on Realtors in RVs today. Hey guys, we're not in the studio now. We're in my RV. Welcome to another episode of Realtors in RVs. So here we are. I am with the legend. Okay, so I started real estate eight years ago. I became real estate in New York. I became a real estate broker in New York.
Okay.
And then when we relocated down to South Carolina, I got my license right away. I knew I wanted to help everybody because I was selling homes back in New York. And people were coming down here and I couldn't help them. I didn't have my license, but I was actually starting the relocation process with my New Yorkers before I even had a hand in it. I was just listing their house and selling it and they were coming down. Well, as soon as we came down, I got my license and I started selling real estate, and a name came before I even joined Innovate Real Estate. I had heard about Mark Lumis. Mark Lumis is one of those seasoned agents, 30 years in the industry, 30 years this year, right, Mark?
Right.
And we call him the legend. So I came in as a newbie. As soon as I joined Innovate Real Estate, I knew if I had a question, if I had a problem, no shame, no guilt, I was to call Mark Lumis because you know everything, like everything. So that was a pretty long introduction, but welcome to Realtors and RVs, Mark Loomis. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thanks, Lisa. I appreciate you having me on. It's
Yeah.
my pleasure. I had to help anytime.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let's talk about why you have the title, The Legend. The Legend. Loomis, the Legend.
Well, that's news to me, but I'll take it. I'm not that humble. But thank you. The way it started is I started at 24 years old. Okay, I went to college up in the upstate of South Carolina. I knew since 9 years old I'm going to be a lawyer. My grandfather was a New York State judge. He was a lawyer and got a judgeship in New York State.
Mhm.
I told him probably in middle school. I said, I think I'm going to be a lawyer. So he retired in 1976. So then he gave me the next Christmas, he gave me his judge's robe and his gavel from when he retired. I'm like, oh, nothing but some pressure. Now I got to be a lawyer because So I go to college, going to be a lawyer. Took the LSAT, applied to law schools.
Yeah.
And 3 weeks before I graduated college, I said, I can't do this. I can't do it. So I called my mom, and luckily she's the coolest mom ever. And she was like, okay, what are you going to do? I was like, I have no idea. Now, I've been waiting tables in the summertime, like everybody in Myrtle Beach. That's my spending money at college because I got a full ride. So that was my spending money.
Nice.
And I said, well, I'm going to come home and wait tables and I'm going to figure it out. So there's 10 years of, I'm going to be a lawyer in the toilet.
Oh.
So I'm starting basically fresh at, well, more than that, but 22 years old. Like, what am I going to do? So I waited tables, for about a year and a half. And I waited tables. I made the cash money. You get a little addicted to it. We partied a lot. And after about a year, I'm like, you know what? This is cool and all, but there's no future in this.
Exactly.
Okay, I can't work for somebody else. I'm having trouble with them giving me kind of stupid demands. The managers are like, when it's slow in the off season, we want you to clean the refrigerator. I'm like, that's not my job. I'm a server. I'm not your cleaning crew.
Right.
So I realized real quick, I was like, you know what? I'm probably not going to tolerate authority very well. And about a year and a half in. So in the summer of 96, a buddy of mine, a couple years older than me, and I'd waited tables with him previously at another restaurant a few years before that. And I'd kind of lost track, but I'm at the restaurant. We stopped serving at 10 o'clock at night. He walks in about 9:45, but he comes in a business suit and two gorgeous women, one on each arm. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, what's going on? So long story short, I finish up. I go say hey to him and I'm like, hey, let's catch up in a few minutes. I'm about finished with my shift. So we did. And I went over and talked to him, and long story short, I said, what are you doing? He goes, oh man, I'm selling real estate now. I started about a year ago with one of the C21s around here, and man, it is great. And I was like, really? What does that entail? So he quickly told me, basically you're an independent contractor, you follow the law, but you have your freedom to do what you want to do, and blah, blah, blah. Kind of the glamorous side, and didn't get into the details about all the nitty gritty, 11 o'clock at night contracts and stuff. But
Sam phone calls.
But the overall gist was, okay, that sounds like me. I get to be my own boss. I answer basically to myself. I'm, to the brokerage to some extent, keep them in line and keep it legal. But I answer to myself. I said, that sounds like something. So anyway, I went home, checked it out. And like a week later, I enrolled in school because back then, this is how long ago it was. You only had to do in South Carolina 1 week of class.
1 week?
1 week. I went to Fortune Academy. That was the big one at the time. And I went Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, like 8:30 to 5 with a lunch break. Friday, we went and did class in the morning, went to lunch break, came back and took our little exam. And of course, they teach you to pass that.
Yeah.
As you know, because the real estate exam doesn't actually tell you how to sell real estate. It just gives you definitions. You know, what is a mortgage? What is, it doesn't teach you anything. It's like any selling job. You either kind of have it or you don't. Not everybody can do it. You know, again, I'm not a chemical engineer because I'm not good at that. That's not why I stay in my lane, but I'm good at what I do. I know how to talk. I know how to think. You know, that wanting to be a lawyer, that critical thinking skills, reasoning, deductive reasoning, and, you know, taking a pause, slow down, thinking about things. It has helped me solve, you know, difficult situations. How do we do this 3 days before closing? What do we figure? So instead of spazzing out, I come up with a solution. But all right, so I digress. But that's what I did. So I said, oh, that sounds good. So anyway, I went to class, passed my school exam. Then you have to go back then you had to go interview with a company and get hired, and they had to sponsor you. And then you went and took your state exam. So long story short, I checked out the big ones. I checked out the Caldwell Bankers, the Remaxes, all the big boys. And then I went to an independent, small company. I only had 7 agents, mom and pop run.
Yeah.
But he's been in business almost 20 years. And I was like, this, again, I went to Wofford College, which at that time only has 1,300 people. I'm better at smaller environments like that. I'd go to a 30,000 school. You know, all my friends went to USC Gamecocks or Clemson University. My son's at Clemson right now. He loves it, but that wasn't my jam. So I'm always used to kind of, maybe you could call it big fish, small sea. Kind of thing. That's kind of how I thrive. So I chose the smaller company, and I got in there in 96, and this was my training. I got notified that my real estate license had been delivered to the office, because, you know, nowadays it's just digital. You can switch companies now in 10 minutes and your license is automatically transferred. But then I had to mail it. So I did my exam. About 8-9 days later, they called me and said, hey, we have received your license. You're free to come into the office now. So I'd gone in the office a couple of days before just to have the office manager show me, like, here's how you use the fax machine. If I know what a fax machine is, it's attached to a copier, right? You know, these old school things, right? That people don't even know anymore. But showed me how to use the basic equipment. So anyway, I go in, I start, she shows me that. I come back a couple days later and they go, so I walk in and I got my suit on, I'm ready to sell real estate. And they take me to the back of there and they just have a wooden desk. They have an old phone with like 12 lines on it, and they have an MLS book.
Not the computer, like a phone book.
The book. That was like, they gave me an old wooden desk, a telephone, and a wooden, MLS book, and they go, good luck. That was my training.
Oh my God.
About 10 minutes later, the receptionist rings back and goes, Mark, you have an ad call on line 3. And I look over to a guy named Jeff. I'm still friends with him today.
Yeah.
What do I do? He's like, answer the phone. Somebody's calling about a piece of property. I'm like, okay. And I picked up the phone. Thanks for calling about the company. This is Mark Lumis. How can I help you? And off we went.
That was it. Oh my God.
So, yeah.
But I wanted to have that conversation because today you have right after the pandemic boom, everybody thought real estate is so easy. Like, we had that boom, we're going to get in. Now all of a sudden, computers, laptops. Now you have to have all this stuff. You started with a shirt, a tie, and a phone book, and an MLS book, right? No AI, no Facebook, no Snapchat.
No.
No TikTok.
After 2 years, I was hot stuff back in 98. I'm going to tell you what.
Yeah.
I had a few closings, and I got me a cell phone. It was about this big. What was it? Nokia. It was about this. Had the battery was like this big. It had the flip on it. Had the orange lights that barely showed up. Yeah. And you barely got reception. I had to basically be standing on top of a mountain on my left foot, angled to the degree, angle it towards the sun, and pray that the wind didn't shift. And then you could get, but I had it. And it impressed people because you're like, what's that? Because, you know, it wasn't ubiquitous like it is now, where everybody carried these $1,200 computers in our pockets, right? That was hot stuff. So
yeah, boys hot stuff.
But, you know, it was like $1.50 a minute. So you only used it like if you needed. Oh, God, yeah. Only if you needed to absolutely, positively save something. It was not like, hey, girl, what's up? Or what's it? It was like, Mr. Client, this is happening. I'm going to fix it for you. I'll call you in the morning. Click. $1.50. You're not doing it. You know, so it was so much different. So I've gone, it's kind of like our grandparents back in the day who were born in the 1890s and they lived through the Industrial Revolution and the invention of cars and all this stuff. I feel like I've kind of done that in my 30 years with real estate.
Exactly. Now, we didn't have, there was nothing electronic, right? Now, I'm saying I started 8 years ago, but my husband started now he's about 23, 24 years old. So almost as long as you.
Yeah.
And he would talk the same thing. He started in Brooklyn, Queens, and he would have his suit. He'd do the door knocking. Till today, I still love door knocking.
Really?
Unless you're in an HOA community, I love door knocking. Did you door knock back in the day?
I've never door knocked.
No.
Because the way I got started was this, like every agent, my first year or two,
Yeah.
I chased every lead. It could be a mobile home 30 miles out on East land. It could be an oceanfront condo, oceanfront house, a regular single family home, a duplex, a multifamily, whatever, because we've got it all here, right? I mean, this market, the one thing about Myrtle Beach is we are so varied because we're a coastal resort area. We've got everything from $6 million oceanfront homes to $60,000 mobile homes 40 miles away from the oceanfront, horse farms, mansions, McMansions, regular homes, and everything in between. So we can literally, I tell people jokingly, you tell me within reason what you want, we probably got it within 40 miles of here.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
Now, we don't have horse farms on the ocean, obviously, but I can get you
I
close,
wish
right?
we did.
No.
That's my dream.
Right?
A horse farm on the ocean.
There you go. We'll make it happen.
Let's do it.
Work on it. But anyway, so that's why. So after about a year, I said, okay, I know myself and I learned very quickly. I'm a guy, I'm a dude. I am very analytical. I'm that side of the brain. I'm math and science. Okay.
We're stat rat.
Yeah, basically.
Mhm.
Asking me decor or how to match the curtains with this. I'm like, no, you picked the wrong guy. I'm math and science. So talking to the owner and broker in charge of the small company I went with, he'd been selling for years, of course, and he'd worked a lot of investors. So I started talking, I was like, well, that's my jam. I can do numbers,
Yeah.
And so I got into it. So we started doing like oceanfront condos because unless you're looking to buy it as a primary residence, which very few people are, majority of people looking to buy them to have not only a place on the beachfront, but also rental income source. So it's numbers, right? How much does it generate versus the HOA dues, your payment, blah, blah, blah. Is there going to be positive cash flow, negative cash flow, potentially, blah, blah. It's all numbers, which a lot of realtors aren't good with or don't like because a lot of salesmanship is more language persuasion, like, oh, can't you picture yourself on this back porch overlooking this lake with your iced tea at 6:30 watching the sunset?
Guilty.
But that is selling homes is an emotional buy because if you're primary, you're going to be raising your children there. The school districts are important. That kind of stuff is not invalid. You have to look at that. However, when you go to oceanfront condos, you wipe all that out and it's a different genre. So I tell people, it's like, look, when you're in a restaurant, somebody goes, oh, is there a doctor in the house? Well, there's probably lots of doctors, but there's the type you need. Is there a PhD doctor?
Right.
Or is there an actual medical doctor who can save you from choking, for example, right? It's the same in real estate. Everybody goes, oh, I need a realtor to help me do this or I want to buy a restaurant and a massage parlor and a house and something else in a rental property. Not most agents can't handle that. That's commercial.
I definitely could not.
And it's three distinct different markets.
You could. I feel like you could.
I don't do commercial because I stay in my lane. So what I said is I can do residential. Now we moved here when I was 8 years old. So I'm not native. I'm just real damn local, as I tell people. Because I've been, you'll be hard pressed. I dare you if you've even met somebody who can say they're born and raised Horry County.
I know.
You can't.
I know.
I can do it on less than two hands, and I've been here 46 years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
45 and a half years, and I can count on that, even in high school.
So we're about the same age then.
Yeah, I'm 53.
Okay, me too. Well, I'll be 53 in July.
Yeah, okay, I'll be 54 next month.
Okay, so we're a year apart.
Yeah,
But
but that's it. So I said, you know what? This is my jam. So that's how I got started with Oceanfront. Is somebody mentored me, my broker, he, helped me out there. And then I said, okay, this is what I like. So then I dove into it. So then I started just unsolicited, just going to visiting buildings, right? So you go to this building and they got 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms. You look at them and you learn them. So as you look at 10 or 12 buildings, look, they're all facing the ocean. They're not like custom built homes where every single house is different. Your neighbor's house is completely different from your house and you're only 50 feet away.
Right.
In these buildings, the condos are the same. So once you start learning them, and I was like, okay, and I have a pretty good worthless Jeopardy memory, right? Ask me what I had for dinner 2 days ago. Can't even remember. But tell me about a building built in 1983. I'll start rattling off for a half hour everything you need to know, the special assessments they had, how the rental income is, and how many is usually on the market, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I can give that.
Right.
So I have that kind of worthless memory. So it's paid off that I can memorize and remember. And the more you're in them, of course, the more you see it, right? Just like if you show somebody's house 3 times and those 3 buyers don't buy it, well, you're pretty much an expert now. You're like, oh, I got a house that might work for you.
Right.
I know the buildings.
Right.
So I just work on that. And once you start selling these and selling them over and over, it's great. And the best thing I found about it was, I started at 96 and it's slow, right? We're post-tech boom, kind of the interest rates are 8.5%. And it's a little slow, but of course I'm slow because I'm getting out of the gate, right? But I get going and one of my first, about a month later, within the first 2 months, I sell 6 properties. And One of them was a 3-bedroom oceanfront condo. I had my first oceanfront condo sale, and I thought I was hot shit.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
$123,000.
3-bedroom overlooking the ocean.
So that condo's about $650,000 today.
Wow.
And they still own it. Actually, they won't sell it, but that's okay. But that was hot stuff. So my sales were like 38,000, 63,000. I mean, those were good sales.
Yeah.
You know, it's all relative to today. You know, but agents today they find that hard to believe. Like, really, you bought a condo, 2-bedroom condo, 4 blocks, and there's $38,000. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
older and dated, but yeah.
Yeah.
So the market has shifted, and so I've gone through all of that.
Yes.
You know, I sold my first oceanfront house 2 years in the business in '98. Again, I got like accolades, like walking into the office, they're like, oh, look at it. It's all $495,000.
Back in the day.
Back then, that house is about 1.5.
Oh, yeah.
6
Yeah.
today. So it's just weird. Like when when I'm training agents and I tell them this, like, really, you know, coach, when you blow their mind when you talk about an MLS book.
I know.
You know, they don't know what that is. Like, oh, you have no clue. You know, have no clue what your gut will be.
Yeah.
But when you explain it to them, like when I teach classes, sometimes somebody will ask about this or that, and I say, and I'll break down into like, let me go through the process on how we used to do a sales contract, and I'm not going to do it here because it takes like 10 minutes. But they don't understand. I had to fax it to my client. They had to fax it back to me. I then fax it to another agent. If the people even had fax.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
If they even had fax, you had to fax it to my work. I can sneak enough, you know. It was crazy. It would take, it took me up to 2 weeks sometimes to get contracts under contract. Because by the time now, once you fax it back and forth 4 times, and then you fax it to your seller and they fax it back to you, you can't read it. So we still have to overnight mail it to everybody, get it done, get it back, and God forbid there's a correction needs to be made. Or 2 weeks later, like, oh, we got to give the buyers $1,000 credit because of the home inspection results. Yeah. Now we have to do that all over again. And agents today are just, you know, especially a lot of, not even just younger folks, because everybody of every age is getting into real estate. Right? Exactly. Start at 60, start at 18, it doesn't matter. Exactly. We have everybody here. We have 18-year-olds and we have 65-year-olds starting out. But especially the younger crowd, because that's what they're born and reared on. That's all they know. So you ought to see enough. When I teach these classes and I explain this, they're all like deer in headlights. Like, I cannot believe this is not real life. There's no way you sold real estate that way, because to them, they think you sell like 3 properties a year.
Right, exactly.
So I even remember when the tech boom hit, when the 2000, I remember 1999.
Oh, yeah, I'm certain. Y2K.
Not only were everybody concerned about computers and the internet shutting down the whole world, but all the talk around was, at that, because that's the same time the internet's booming, right? Right around then, 2000, and everybody's like, wait, it's going to put realtors and people like that out of business. Because everybody thought it was going to be like the sci-fi movies, right? We can just Google everything, or like Back to the Future, right? We're going to have TV screens that do whatever for you, cook your dinner and pop it. And of course, I think we just got the flying sneakers a couple of years ago. But that only took 40 years. But anyway, so it's just amazing the things that just have occurred. I mean, it kind of blows my mind for these agents. And I said, no, the technology is not going to take over us. It's going to make us more efficient. Like y'all said, because I can appreciate, because you don't understand. I hand wrote contracts, right? We didn't have dot loop and all these. I had to hand write contracts and send them out. Agents find it that there's no way. And so it's just cool to see. And now they understand that, yes, technology, like every time, like everybody's fighting AI now, we're doing this. You have to roll with it in this business because your consumers, your clients, everybody else is using it. And you're just going to go left behind, right? You don't have to become a tech expert, but you got to do enough to know how to do things, or, you know, use your phone and fix a contract real quick, right? Because the technology's there and it's not hard. If my stubborn old ass can use it, that's what I tell y'all can figure it out.
Right, exactly. Now, I love the way you say, well, one would probably be because the technology wasn't there, but you went out and you looked at the properties and you learned them. We still need to do that today.
I still change that, yeah.
I can't stand the new agents that come on, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to, like, offend anybody. Yes, you can't sit behind a computer. You can't hide behind a keyboard.
Right.
You still have to get out there and learn your product, learn your area, walk it, feel it, touch it, talk to other people about it, right?
Yeah, coming from a server background.
Yeah.
Which is sales. Mm-hmm. And so I used to, I'm not trying to, it sounds bad, but I don't do anything half-ass.
Right.
If I'm going to go wait tables, I'm going to go wait tables, right? And I used to show up, and I would make a lot of money because I learned really quick. Like, I worked at certain, nicer restaurants, decent restaurants, right? Tourist places, Broadway, the beach, whatever. But, like a hamburger would be $10, but I'd get you to we also had like 30 toppings, so I'd get you to make that into a double bacon mushroom Swiss cheeseburger for $17. Right. I knew how to upsell nicely. And so that was where I got my salesmanship from. And so I would train these servers after a couple of years, like TGI Fridays, I worked there for a while. They made me a trainer. And so I would teach classes and I train these people. And I'm like, hey guys, learn this memory, memorize this menu. And now if you've ever been to TGI Fridays, it's like, damn, Cheesecake Factory. It's like a 12-page memory, or 12-page menu. And I was like, I don't care. You have to memorize it. And next week I'm quizzing you. I'm going to quiz you on 2 of the ingredients in one of the pot. Like, you better memorize it verbatim. You better learn it because that is what you're selling.
Yes.
And when somebody comes up, you're in a tourist town, hey, what's this restaurant? What's good? If you don't know how to respond,
Exactly.
I'd be like, oh, what are you in for? You in the mood for steak, pasta, a light fare, barbecue? What are you in the mood for? Oh, that, and then you pick one. You already have it. Oh, you want that option? Oh, that is the bank. And then that's how you sell it. Not the most expensive, not the softest, but you learn how to sell. Right. And do things. So when I'm training agents now, and I'm like, guys, have you ever, and it's Myrtle Beach, most people have waited tables or done or worked at a retail store. They've done some sort of entry level customer service, right? I'm like, guys, this is the same thing. You work at Ulta, learn everything in the store, and then you can sell it. When somebody walks in, hey, can I help you? Yes, I'm looking for a like, oh, let me take you to that. Yeah. And you go to it and you look professional. And they're like, oh, you really know what you're doing. You're right. The problem is real estate's a bigger menu, especially here, even for agents who don't do North Carolina, South Carolina, all that. Like me, I just do Orion, Georgetown counties basically, but that's still 2,000 square miles.
Yes.
And people don't think about it. It's like, but yes, that's why I specialize in oceanfront and condos, because once you go into them, you do it for a year or two, you've pretty much learned it. You've memorized your menu. And then all you do is just keep up with the changes, which is just normal. If they have a special assessment and you hear about it, make a phone call to the HOA and say, okay, what's going on? So now you know. Right? You can advise your sellers if they call, and you advise your buyers. But anyway, that's my jam because it's fast-paced. I also found out that a lot of investors tend to turn their properties. It's kind of like selling stock, right? They don't have a time frame. It's just when the time hits.
Right.
They're prepared to own it and rent it out. Now, if I call them 2 years later and say, hey, that condo you bought for 140 2 years ago is worth 300,000 today. Do you want to sell it? And if they say yes, then that's how you put same thing. So now you have to know your inventory. You have to keep up. If you don't have a good CRM, you might as well just quit the business.
Right. Exactly. You need a CRM. I learned that the hard way.
Oh, you have to. It's
back in New York, I did the same thing. I joined a boutique real estate, and she started with the CM, and I'm stuck in 1984. I still have a black and white speckle notebook. I just stack them. I get them at the Dollar Tree, and I take notes. I write my clients' names. I like everything. And then I was falling behind. And Gina Lala, who's the best broker that I could have had to start in boutique agency, she was like, Lish, you have to really we had Lion Desk. You have to start using the CRM. You're getting too big. You're going to fall behind fast. And sure enough, I started falling behind. And then I said, damn it. I thought I could start my real estate career in my black and white circle notebook like I've done my entire life. And I couldn't. I had to start learning CRMs. I had to start moving into the digital. But I still like the door knocking. I still like the mailers. I still like the handwritten notes. I still like the old school. I still like the 80s and the 90s way of doing business, to being honest.
I still do handwritten thank you notes.
Thank you.
Just a card, and then look, guys, it takes me literally 2 minutes. But I handwrite. I don't AI them. I pull out this thing called a pen.
Yeah.
And I write. Hey, dear Alicia, thank you so much for trusting me with it. Right? Yeah. I'm doing that with the pen and the calligraphy. Yeah. I should.
With your scroll down paper.
No,
right?
my mom said I should have been a doctor. She was a nurse for years. She said I should have been a doctor with my terrible life. But I try to make it honest. Yeah. But I still bet. So look. Like I tell people, and the problem with real estate today is it's so overwhelming because we get hit up, we all get 50 emails a day from every product supplier. I'll make your life easier. I can do this easier. I'm like, guys, I promise you, ignore all of that noise. You need to look, call me old school, whatever. Do I have TikTok? No. Do I have Instagram? No. I have Facebook and X. And
2 favorites.
And my word of mouth and my personal marketing. So
and your referrals that you've gotten over the past 30 years.
Right. That doesn't hurt. Look, most I can get 20 deals a year just without doing any. I just land at the beach, right? Because people will call me because again, but they also know, right? I built a brand, but they also know that I don't sugarcoat shit.
Yes.
Okay. I'm not. I even joke say I'm not a salesperson. I am a real estate advisor. I'm going to give you the good, bad, ugly, indifferent, and everything else you probably don't want to know about a property. And you're a big grown adult. You have to be over the age of 18 to buy real estate, which makes you an adult. You can make your own decisions. I'm happy to help you every step of the way. But, I'm going to tell you everything I can, whether you like it or not. Again, you have to be true. And that's hard. And I hate to say it, but for younger people in this generation, that's one of the hardest things to do is to have those hard, like, oh my God, these people called me. They bought a house 3 years ago for 350. I ran the comps and it only shows the house worth like 330. It's falling. Like, it's not even like this market's changing now and they don't know how to do it. And so what do they do? And the seller says, I want to list it for 400. And they're like, okay, we'll list it then. And I'm like, stop doing that. One thing I teach agents, I said, there's only one word. It's the shortest word in the English language, and it's only 2 letters, but it is the absolute number one, without a doubt, by 1,000 miles, the absolute hardest word for any realtor to say. And it is
No,
that's it.
it's not. And I have a hard time saying no. When I have a seller that it's hard when they're like, we want to list it 50,000 over. And I'm like, well, here are the comps, the last 5, exact same square footage in the same building, all that. Sold for 50,000 under. It's so hard, but Alicia, but now I have to pay a realtor fee. Now I have to do this. Now I bought only furniture. I invested so much. Okay. And I'm guilty at that. I'm being very honest. And my husband tells me all the time, he says, Alicia, you're doing them the biggest disservice by being nice. Be more honest. Stop being nice.
My motto that I picked up probably about 5 or 6 or 7 years after I got rolling was nice but firm.
Yeah, nice but firm. Okay. Now,
I don't have to yell at you and cuss it, but here's the deal. I'm going to present you the facts. I'm going to show you the comps. I'm going to show you the numbers. And then basically I'm going to show you that 2 plus 2, and you're supposed to say equals 4. And if you don't, then I know we're not on the same page. We're not vibing. We're not jiving.
right, okay? Exactly.
Because the numbers don't lie, right? The numbers don't lie. And it doesn't matter. I mean, real estate markets go up and go down. And that's why, like, as realtors, we are part-time everything.
Yes.
We tend to be a jack of all trades and master of none. And that's where we get ourselves in trouble. Is we want to be an electrician and a plumber and an attorney and a judge and, and a psychologist and a sociologist and 12,000 other jobs. And we do have to do a little bit of that, because our job is to hold deals together. We are the ones that are making these deals happen for both sellers and buyers. But it can be very difficult because, got all different personality types. I mean, throughout a day, we could deal with, the type A, B, C, and D, all 4 brains in the day, and it's only 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's got 4 more hours to go.
I know, and that wine is calling me. I'm like, is it 5 o'clock?
Oh my God, yes. Yes. So it can be done, but it is, it's a fun job because it's fast-paced and rewarding, but you have to know your inventory and pick a few things, right? If you love door knocking, door knock. If you don't love door knocking, guess what? Don't door knock.
Don't do what you don't love.
It's like, all right, I need to lose some weight, which, I lost 65 pounds.
I know, you look amazing.
Because I finally, back in 2024, 2 years ago, my kids are grown now. They're both adults, both in their early 20s. I got divorced happily 7, 8 years ago. We won't get into all that, but long story short, for 10 years, I was Mr. Mom. I was everything. So I worked out of my home office, got the kids up at 6 in the morning, got them ready for school, made their breakfast, made their lunch, took them to school, took them to soccer practice, baseball, tennis, baseball game. Everything from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. every night. Made the dinners.
And you put yourself last.
Put myself last, and I still sold real estate from the home office and paid all the bills just to be broke at the end of the year. And so a couple years ago, I'm sitting there going, okay, I'm short, and I'm fat, and I smoke. And I'm like, not good. So, and I finally, at that conference, at the Innovate's first conference in March of 24, I don't know. And I even told Jeff, I said, I don't know what happened. Nothing in no big way, but in my car ride home, I was like, what am I doing? I now literally put in all this work, raised my kids, built my career up, and now I'm basically, 49, 50 years old, so I'm like 51, 50. I was like, I have the rest of my life and I can do whatever I want. And I choose to sit here and be lazy and fat. I was like, this is not acceptable. This is not the guy that I was. This is not the guy that I am. And I'm not doing this anymore. So I nearly drove home. And I said, I'm going to chain smoke all the way home, cigarettes. And I did. I chain smoked to burn myself out. I came home. I threw my car in my trash can, poured bacon grease over it and the trash so I would not be tempted to do it. Threw out all the food in my fridge. I have a weight set that I've looked at for years, and I got a little hint for everybody. Looking at your weight set will not cause you to lose weight.
Yeah.
I tried. Trust me, I tried for like 12 years. It doesn't work. So I said, let me start lifting those. So I just started eating better, less calories, more protein, did everything you're supposed to do. And guess what? If you actually do that shit, you can lose weight.
Consistency is
key. And so that's it. But that has helped propel me after 28 years, now 30 years. No, that's helped propel me. Now I'm as motivated as I was when I first started.
Nice.
I kind of got complacent. I got burnt out 2011. After 15 years, the market, was going down, and I took kind of a year off. Mm-hmm. And then on 24, 25, I didn't take time off. I just reworked my schedule. My mornings became for me. to take care of myself. I get enough rest. I work out. I eat properly. Then my mind is right. And now I'm ready to focus and take care of my clients. So you don't have to work this whole philosophy. You got to work 10 hours, 12 hours a day as a realtor. No, you can work 2 hours a day if you're super efficient. And maybe some days you will work more, but you need to work efficiently. Because the lie is this. Yeah, we show up at the office for 8 hours, but we play on the computer, and then you talk to somebody stops by your office and, hey, Alicia, that party last night was great. Oh, well, it was great. And then it's 30 minutes. So are you working or not? You actually do a couple hours of work.
Right.
If you're in an office or you're in an environment like that. So, but you have to be disciplined and do it. So like we said earlier, sales is not for everybody, not just because whether you know how to sell or learn product or whatever. You have to know how to be genuine, and you have to know how to be yourself. And that's the hardest part is everybody tries to sell too hard. They read scripts. You can read the script, but you better memorize it and turn it into your, like, don't plagiarize, right? Look, like, don't copy the cliff notes.
I can't do scripts.
I can't do scripts. I never have. I tried one time. I was like, that sounds stupid. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to be me. And if people don't like it, that's fine. There's 8.5 million people on the planet. You don't have to like me.
Yeah,
it's okay.
My husband bought me this huge, I think it was a Tom Ferry scripts book.
Oh, yeah.
And he had it printed out for me when I first started 8 years ago. And I was cold calling, reading scripts. And I'm like, this doesn't even sound like me. Like,
yeah.
People are going to be like, Alicia, who are you? Like, who is this? I'm like, it's me, Alicia. No, it's not. Who the hell is this?
And especially now and today, they're going to go, oh, that's an AI bot. Yeah. She just plugged it in. It's not even her. She doesn't even have the time to pick up the phone and call me personally. Yeah, exactly. Got an AI. That's the problem. This technology is good. I'm not dogging any of it. It has its functions, but everybody in this business wants to go faster and harder and more and more and do more. If you sell 30 million a year, well, now I want to sell 50 million a year. And once you reach 50, then I want to reach 75. And I'm like, guys, when's enough? I will tell you, this job will burn you out. I've been through it once already, and I'm 30 years in, but I've had a mental shift and a physical shift. And so now, because I'm more confident in my ability to meet my goals, right? Little 12-year-old me lost 15, 18 pounds as a little kid, a little chubby. And I said, I don't like it. I did it. And I feel like I lost that willpower in my 30s and 40s. And it's nice to have it back. And it's nice to know that you still have that force, that drive. So even in 30 years in real estate, like, you think you're getting burned out. Or, now I'm not. Now I'm fired up. Okay, kept 7 listings for the last 3 or 4 weeks here, a few $1 million. And I'm, as soon as you get back at it. And again, talking about the CRM, again, guilty. When you have your CRM, you have to keep up. I have a database with about 2,000 people that I've had for 28 years.
Wow.
I thought I was doing okay, but now, like in 21 and 22, it was fast paced. Okay. And I forgot, like, I literally got a call a couple weeks ago from one of the clients, and I didn't have them in my database. I sold them in 21 or 22, whatever. I went back, look, it was so fast paced. I didn't, but now keep in mind, I'm solo agent. No assistants, no TCs, no nothing.
Yeah.
I did have a TC and assistant back in 2004, 5, and 6. But I've realized, because of my kind of OCD and the way I do it, it's me. Like, it would take me just as long to tell my assistant, hey, I need you to call my client and tell them X, Y, and Z from the home inspection, and then we're going to handle it by A, B, and C. Or I could just pick up the phone and call my client and do it myself.
Yeah.
Right? Like, she's good. She was great at her job, but as it got more and more, she was great at handling the closings, the paperwork, but the detail work I couldn't do.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, and now as technology comes along in these companies like Innovate, we have closing coordinators, we have people who process our payments and stuff. So you can be solo with a company like ours.
Yeah.
It can be a team.
Exactly.
It's not bad. It's whatever your jam is. Everybody's like, oh, well, what team should I be a team? No, if you want to be on a team, be on a team. If you don't, give it a try, because it's kind of like playing, like I play tennis. Doubles tennis is equally as hard as singles, but it's not physically as demanding per se. Singles tennis is super hard. You're the only one chasing that ball down. I played both, and I still play today.
Never play. I don't do pickleball. I don't do tennis.
I don't pickleball, but I've been playing tennis for about 11 years. But that's the same thing, right? Yeah. It's not any easier, but it's different, right? And that's what people understand. But yeah, I'm guilty of the CRM. Like, I have to clean up my database. So my goal this year is to get in here, and this is what you'll find as well from experience as well. Once you make that commitment, like, okay, I'm going to start calling whatever 25, 50 people a day, right? Or whatever, just to touch base. How you doing? Are you live? Do you still want to buy? Whatever. What'll happen is you'll reach 4 or 5 people, because I tried it a couple years ago. I was like, all right, I got committed. I'm going to start doing it. And like the third client, yeah, we're actually thinking about listing. Glad you called. Picked up like a $500,000 listing.
Nice.
A couple more calls later. You were actually back in the market now. It's been a few years, but yeah, we're coming down next month to buy. And yeah, we would have. I got busy.
Yeah.
So I stopped. And then I was like, oh my God. So now you have to make a commitment, right?
Yeah.
You have to make that commitment. And then once you start getting busy, you stop calling your database and you deal with the bird in hand.
Yes.
And then maybe you get back to it and get a few more leads and then you forget again. So instead of doing this in 6 months or a year, it may take 5 or 10 if you're not disciplined, which I'm disciplined at selling, but I'm not disciplined with my database. So, and that's on me because we have to keep that up because that's your goal line. That's where you're going to find your future client. So the longer you're in the business, if you do the hard work up front, get that CRM, keep it clean, keep your name out, use these AI like Real Scout, keep your name out in front of people, put a home valuation search on their home in Tennessee, even though they're buying in Myrtle Beach, that, so that once a quarter, once a month, whatever, they see your name. It doesn't matter if the estimation's even right. They'll call you. A client called me last month and go, I got this automatic. It says this BS. My house is worth this. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm laughing. He called me. He called me. And I said, hey, don't worry about it. I'll check into it.
Yeah.
Your house is actually worth, 1.6.
Yeah.
It's all good. But they call. So but you got to keep the database
Yes,
up. They don't
just magically
come out of nowhere. I mean, a listing I just put online this past week, it's my fault. I sold him this luxury condo 7 years ago and I didn't stay in touch with him. Luckily, he found my name and number and called me and said, I'm ready to list. And we listed the condo for $95,000. So,
well, nice.
But that's, even today, even that, again, a couple weeks ago, I'm sitting here 30 years in going, that's bad. That's not good. Get your act together, Mark. So I even have to kick myself in my ass. Probably once a quarter. Now, but it used to be about once every couple of years. Now it's once a quarter because the older you get, you want to get closer to retirement.
Exactly.
But this job is good. The market's good. This is a great area. I mean, nobody feels sorry for us, right? We're out here in sunshine.
Nobody does. And we're sitting in my RV. Now, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what is your email? What is your phone number? Shout it out to everybody.
Yeah, sure. It's Mark Lumis with Innovate Real Estate here in Myrtle Beach. My cell phone you can call or text is 843-333-3568. You can email me. It's my name. It's Mark, M-A-R-K, Lumis, L-O-O-M-I-S, and then M-B like Myrtle Beach. Mark Lumis, M-B @gmail.com.
Thank you, Mark. Now, one of the things that everybody, not just everybody loves about Mark is we have we have a South Carolina private Facebook page for all the agents that work in South Carolina. Mark is the go-to for all the new agents. He was for me. I mean, I've asked you several questions. I've had issues. I didn't know the answers. Mark guided me on where to find the facts, where to get the answers to. And he's so good with all the new agents. He gives back with no strings attached. And Mark, I want you to give back now. 3 tips for new agents, how to help them succeed in 2026.
Okay. Get your mindset right. Dedicate yourself to doing real estate. Okay. You need to have that work-life balance. Okay. If you start working 80 hours a week, that's going to be fun for about 4 months and you'll probably make some decent money and then you're going to get burned out. You better learn that work-life balance early if you plan to have a long career in real estate. Okay. Number 2, pick your market. Do you want to be a commercial real estate agent? Do you want to be a residential agent or condos like I do? Whatever you want to do, but you can't be the jack of all trades, master of none thing is not going to work anymore. Okay. That's why in the health field, you can say doctor, but they're all specialists, right? You got a problem with your foot. You do not go to a cardiologist, right? You go to a podiatrist. That's what you need to do, right? I am the condo guy or whatever you want to call it. That's been proclaimed to me, but pick your niche, right? And then number 3 is stay organized, slow your brain down, especially when you're talking to clients. If you talk too fast, you sound sales. Just talk to people normally. Get rid of your scripts. Get rid of that crap. Know your product and talk to people like they're human beings, like you would want them to talk to you. Just sit back, give them the facts, answer their questions. If they're wrong, politely tell them they're wrong and show them the numbers, but stick to your guns. Okay. If you have to, and learn to say no, you have to say no every now and again. It's okay. I promise you, I've said no more than I've said yes lately on listings and things like that. I would rather be the 2nd or 3rd listing agent. They will usually get it by then. So that's it.
Okay. Now, quick question. You know Bon Jovi? Living on the Cloud? Yeah. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Tommy used to work on the docks. Unions were not shy. He's down on his luck. It's tough. So tough.
You do. I know the song. I don't know the word. Can put me on the spot. but you're a better singer anyway. I do not sing. I have a deep voice, but I do not sing. So,
dude, I'm singing, dancing my way through life.
Me too.
Let's do an 80s song together, really quick. Let's end the show. Give me a song that we both know. What do you?
I don't know. Give me another one. I'm bad at music lyrics. That's the only problem. Like, I know songs, I know bands and lyrics, but I don't know like bands like who sang like 80s. I'm good with 80s.
Yeah, Michael Jackson. Thriller.
Because this is
Just
Thriller.
Thriller night.
I don't know the rest.
I don't know the rest either. All right.
I'm saying I'm dancing through every day. I mean, that's how I am now, right? That's how I do. I do not let anything get to me anymore. We laugh, we dance, and that's another thing I tell agents. Smile,
Yes.
laugh, right? Don't let this get to you. Look, guys, at the end of the day, it's real estate, okay? This is not life or death. If there's a problem at 9 o'clock tonight, it'll still be there at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
That's
okay,
right.
It's about the medical field where somebody can literally die if you don't get to the hospital or the doctor. We need you to save somebody in 30 minutes. That's not this, and this is how we treat it sometimes. But that's what I say, back off, slow down, just have fun. The more fun you have, because this is a fun job,
Yeah.
right? Yes, there are tense times, there are stressful times. I'm trying to save a deal today with an issue, but hey, we've been dealing with it for 3 days. We're going to solve it today, and I think we got everybody on stage. It's good. It will work out. Just stick with it. But
That's
laugh
right.
and dance and smile while you're having fun.
That's
You
right.
are going to love this job. I've been here 30 years, and I'm planning on at least another 15 or 20. So
Well,
I'm happy to be here.
comment below with a song from the 80s.
Yeah.
Mike and I are going to do a duet.
There
Turn
you
it
go.
up.
Yes.
And we'll get Mark to sing a little louder.
All right,
and
I'll
some
work
other
on it.
lyrics.
I'll work
Comment below with a song from the 80s. And thank you, Mark Lumis.
Thank you for having
The
me. Love to be
legend.
here. Thank you, Lisa. Appreciate you.